Dave Dulany is a sales development specialist. He builds SDR teams for organizations from scratch, and here are his 5 steps to thrive in sales.
Making the right decision at the beginning as far as what company you're getting involved with. It's tough when you're out there on the job search. You don't have any experience necessarily. You're applying for all these SDR jobs, and you see one. It's got a cool office. They've got a ping pong table, and a cool T-shirt that they gave you for taking the interview, and you just jump in. And I would just caution everyone, and if you're already in a position like this, then something to think about is, do you really understand the product? Do you understand the problem that they're solving? Are you passionate about that? Or can you get passionate about that? Can you get excited about it? Because you're going to be spending, 40, 50, 60-hour weeks working on this. And if it doesn't do anything for you, except for supply your paycheck and a T-shirt, then you're probably going to be miserable. And then that's going to be kind of a downward spiral. So that thing number one, make the right choice in the vehicle, for your promotion. I think that, you're starting to read some blogs and people talking about this, and I completely agree with what you're saying. I think one of the hardest things right now to do is actually get attention of people long enough to accept an appointment. It's one of the hardest parts of the sales cycle. Again, we look at the playbooks of these really successful companies, and they have it set up where you come in and you do the SDR position for 6 months, and then you move up or out. And, does that really make sense anymore? If you look at the outsourced SDR programs, a lot of them are based, in the Midwest and in cheaper markets, and they emphasize, getting people in who just want to be SDRs, and they think that it's a great opportunity. If you're out in the middle of nowhere and you're making a good salary and you have a good steady paycheck with a health benefits, it's a pretty damn good gig. And they realize that, the longer that an SDR does the job and the more skilled they are at brokering that initial introduction and locking down the appointment, the more valuable they become, especially if you start to verticalize. If they become fluent in you gave the example of medical devices. If they become fluent in that lingo and they know the right people to talk to and they know how to get that introduction brokered, they're tremendously valuable for a company. So why would you encourage them to leave that position when they're starting to add a tremendous amount of value? That does, from a business perspective. I did a study with a consultant in a former company. From numerically, an SDR had to be in the chair for at least 24 months, productive, like 18 of those months, in order to pay for themselves. And so, if they're coming to you and saying, I want to get out of this position in 6 months, from a business perspective, that doesn't make a lot of sense. So yeah, there's different ways to look at it for sure. I also have a ton of respect for your lifer SDR. I think that they make a tremendous contribution to the business. They're reliable, they're, cost effective for a business, and they kick out a ton of great opportunities and provide leadership and training for new recruits. So there's absolutely nothing wrong, in my view, with being an SDR forever. If you're good at it and you like it and it's something that makes you happy, I think that's great. I would love to have a group of very productive lifer SDRs who don't turn over every 6 months on my team. I've talked about this with people before. There's the big brands that are very well known. They've got all the training programs, they've got the brand recognition, they've got everything dialed in. And if you're coming right out of school and you have no business experience, sometimes it's great to just plug in to their system and be molded and see how, that machine is operating from the inside, and then, do that for a few years and then go out to your startup, of 2 guys in a garage, So I guess it just depends. The other quick point is, for your case, if you had no interest whatsoever in medical devices and you just were getting to the point where, your parents were getting on you because you had spent all this money on university and now you needed a job. So you took a job with medical devices, it'd be tough. I would just look back at my career and it's like, if you're not feeling the industry and the thing that you're going to be selling and talking about all day, I think it becomes tough to just motivate. You come in and you do some product training with the product managers. You learn about all the bells and whistles of the product, and then you learn about how to use Salesforce and how to use, cadence systems and data entry systems and stuff like that. And then you're kind of on your own and you start sending stuff out and making calls. And, a lot of times they're asking you to call on people with like 20 years of experience at the director and VP level. And you were just in college like a couple of months ago. And you have no, no context really, or no, value add. And it ends up being kind of a downward spiral of negativity. And so, one way that I would definitely recommend for SDRs coming in that want to move up is, go ahead and go through that training program. But when have your own time, you want to learn everything you can about the buyer and their pain points that are going to be interacting with your product, because you want to be able to understand their vocabulary, speak their language, go to the same conferences that they go to, read the same blogs, become fluent in their vocabulary so that you don't, come at them with just some generic message and set yourself up for failure. I would make that a real study and commitment. And it kind of gets back to our first point of, do you want to talk about this product and learn all about these buyers every day? Are you really serious about that before you take the job?
Hey, hope you enjoyed that one. Click up here to watch another 5 Steps to Thrive in Sales video. Click down here to watch the full interview where all these clips came from.